Before we get started, we'd like to thank Applied Surety Underwriters for sponsoring this episode of Let's Get Surety. Applied Surety Underwriters, an affiliate of United Risk Insurance Agency, LLC, provides contract and commercial surety underwriting services with a consultative approach, helping clients and brokers match the right bond program to each project's unique needs. To learn more about Applied Surety Underwriters, visit appliedsurety.com. Now, on to our show.
You're listening to Let's Get Surety. Let me hear your bonding talk with Kat Shamapande.
Hey everyone, it's Kat Shamapande. Thanks so much for joining us for this episode of Let's Get Surety. I've got with me today my co-host, Mark McCallum, CEO of NESBP. Hey, Mark.
Hi, Kat. Hey, we've got a topic today that's on everybody's minds.
We're talking about AI.
Yeah, for sure.
And I know everyone has AI questions. We got a great table of people here to discuss that with us. We're at NESBP's annual meeting, and they just came down from the main stage on the AI panel, Surety's AI Blueprint. Are we building better for the future or heading to a meltdown? So I hope it's not heading to a meltdown.
No, there's no meltdown. Not yet. We're good.
But as we dive in, before we dive into that topic, I just want to introduce everyone. So we've got Greg Davenport, Digital Bond Advisory Services, LLC. Greg, thanks for being on.
Thanks, Cap. Thanks, Mark, for inviting us.
Absolutely.
And it's a great opportunity to moderate the panel today.
And Greg, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you found yourself talking about AI?
My whole career has been in surety, longtime employee of Liberty Mutual, very involved with automation with NESBP, SFA, and others. And gosh, as through the course of my career with various automation changes, now AI is just, the latest frontier that we need to be prepared to handle and understand. I think our panel really helped with the audience to understand where we are and where we're headed.
That's great. So we also have with us today Jason Callison from Tinubu. Jason, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and Tinubu?
Yeah, sure. I am Jason Callison, as you said. I'm a customer solution architect with Tinubu. We're a specialty line SaaS platform. We do trade credit. We have surety, both the broker agent and the carrier platform. So it was a pleasure and a privilege to be on the AI panel today because it's changing how we build software, but it's also allowed us to change how surety is being done on our platform.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Thanks so much for being with us, Jason. And last but definitely not least, we also have with us Brad Rasmussen from Merchants Bonding. Thanks for being on with us, Brad.
Thank you for having me, and I certainly enjoyed being on the panel and having a conversation with some very smart people about a really cool topic.
Well, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, Brad, and about Merchants?
Certainly. I am the CIO at Merchants Bonding. I have been there 13 years. I used to come to NASBP and say, I'm the new guy, but after 13 years, I don't think I can get away with it.
You're not new anymore. Right?
But I'm a technologist at heart. So throughout my career, I've done technology in lots of different industries. So I bring to Merchants maybe a little bit different flavor. I'm not necessarily just insurance or just surety,
right,
but other kinds of technology things. So technology first.
That's great. Go ahead, Bert.
Well, I guess AI is here, right?
Yeah.
But what does that mean? I mean, what is artificial intelligence? There's a lot of promise, and there also seems to be a lot of misconceptions. Would anybody want to kind of delve into what you're seeing and why that might be a misconception?
So what is AI? Well, if you believe the movies, it's something that we're all going to end up dying for. I do not believe that. Artificial intelligence, I think, are computer systems that can help us organize vast amounts of information and data and use it to our advantage, stated very simply.
Yeah.
So what we've seen is the ability for AI to consume massive amounts of data and put it in a place where we as humans can understand it and use it and figure out a way to be better at our jobs than what we are today. There's a lot more to it. It's a very deep topic, but that's one of the big values we see.
Yeah. And the surety industry has a lot of data, right?
Oh, absolutely. We're data driven.
But we need to be more efficient, perhaps?
Yes. If you look at surety companies and even the surety space, there are a lot of jobs where there's just manual data entry. You look at the amount of data that passes through a surety transaction, and the fact that you have 4 different parties involved in that transaction, what kinds of problems does that present? Well, now I've got that data being entered once, twice, 3 times. So how do we solve those kinds of problems and get that data to flow? And we see some promise with AI being able to help us get across some of those hurdles and sharing that information across the industry.
I also think, Mark, that while Surety started with efficiency and still have lots of opportunity there,
Right.
we're now moving into using AI more for the knowledge management or knowledge management in addition to make better informed decisions, bringing analytics and all the other information that can be gathered
Right.
in the underwriting decision, not to make the decision for the underwriter, but to enable them to make a better decision and possibly make it faster,
Yeah.
be more
So
responsive.
facilitate,
Yes.
augment, maybe.
Yes. Yeah.
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 And I think one of the things that AI is allowing us to do is take that unstructured data. So the documents, right? So nobody wants to go through a 100-page contract to pull out the various information that they need.
I mean, it
Now-
sounds fun.
Yes, it does.
Are you okay? We need to talk later because I got to get you off that ledge.
Wait a second. I like reading boilerplate. What's happening? What's happening?
Well, you're attorney.
Yeah, so I think that's really helping provide efficiency.
Yeah.
So, underwriters can spend more time thinking about the business and the risk and versus just trying to parse that data out of these long documents, which could be 100 pages.
So we can focus on what we're good at instead of
Right.
focusing on the things that just eat up a lot of time.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
I think another thing that's going to happen is that we progress and use AI more. We're going to find data sources and types of data that we can use as part of our underwriting that maybe we wouldn't have been able to see without AI.
That's
Interesting.
interesting.
So I think the data that's out there available to us, we haven't landed on, oh, there's a correlation between that data set and a potential claim. That kind of stuff is going to start coming out over time, I believe.
Right.
Well, and the vastness of the information, there's so much information even today
Yeah.
through the internet that it can be overwhelming to somebody trying to figure out what to. So AI can also help the underwriter or any producer, discern it and come down, okay, what do I really need to know? And not be poking around the internet, searching and searching and searching.
One of the cautions I've heard, though, is you've heard the expression trash in, trash out. But the quality of the data is so important, I guess, to these models. I mean, how should people be thinking about quality of data?
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that Brad was also mentioning is about what can we do with AI in addition to what we're doing. So
Yeah.
a lot of people are probably familiar with the bordereau agency, but issues a bond, they send a CVS file
Right.
to the carrier. Well, now you can actually add those documents to that. So it would be, 2 years ago, you wouldn't have been able to parse that data. So now you can see that bond amount, not only in that record data that's
Yeah.
coming in from the CSV, but you can validate that it's coming from the execution report as well, along with the bond amount and et cetera. So you can provide more validation with AI that didn't exist a few months ago.
Wow.
And the panel that we just had, our panelists really emphasized a lot, Mark, about the need today for the sniff test. To your point about, it can be garbage in, garbage out, that you can't believe everything that AI produces. It hallucinates sometimes. And that's really where the human factor, and Brad, I remember, pointed out in the panel that it's actually the most experienced people, even though, we may not be on the cutting edge of technology as much as Gen Z, that we're the ones that can bring in the expertise to really apply that sniff test to know, fact from fiction and what's true to focus on and what's that garbage you mentioned.
Yeah, because as I've grown with my use of AI, I try to do more complex things.
Okay.
And as I do that, my ability to look at the output after it produces what I'm asking it to do is probably a little bit better to go, nah, that smells bad here. I don't agree with that.
Okay.
But it's because of the experience I have. My experience has value, and I can call BS on things when I see them.
Right.
Because
I think I
know enough to
I think
know.
maybe. But, younger folks, they're trying to do the same thing, and they don't see it, not because they're not intelligent. It's just they don't have the context.
Yeah.
Right.
And a lot of what we do in our world is around context. And the human being in there, absorbing that context, using their past experience matters.
Having that person in the process.
Correct. And so, I'm really high on experienced people using AI and figuring that out because I really do believe that's where we're going to get so much value from it.
And I love that in the sense of being discerning.
Yeah.
Like knowing the possibilities and using it as a tool, but then having the context to be discerning. So how do you build that in a surety team? I know you mentioned about having people with experience, but like every industry we need to bring on young talent. We're doing that.
Yeah.
How do you build that?
I still think there's going to be value in coupling the young folks with the less experienced people with the more experienced people, and going through some training, reviewing the outputs, reviewing the files, continuing on some of those kinds of things is still going to be important, because that's going to be a challenge for the world at large. Is how do we get the experience into the minds of younger, less experienced people, regardless of your industry, right?
Right.
AI wasn't trained on our brains and our experience. It was trained on what's available on the internet.
Right.
Well, what's in here is not available on the internet. And that's a really good thing. I just want to point out. But there's a whole bunch of stuff that our experience feeds into how we do and what we do every day. And it's going to be important. At least to keep that connection there.
One of the panel, we talked a lot about guardrails, the need to establish guardrails, and both on the producer side and on the carrier side, there were examples brought up of just the basic training that they put in place before anyone could even use AI.
Right.
And of course, it's not one and done. It has to continue, and as new people learn, whatever their skill, whether it be underwriting, claims, what have you, how to apply AI, and to your point, how to discern, what's good information from bad. So it's going to be a continual process. And one that I mentioned in the panel, NASBP can also contribute greatly by incorporating that as you think about the Surety schools and seminars you put on, and even podcasts like this.
Podcasts like this. It seems like that's hard, though, because with the speed of change, and look at how far AI has come in the last 2 years, 6 months even.
Yeah.
How do you keep up with that and train when it's all changing and you're in the middle of the change?
Yeah, I'll tell you, I've been around technology for a couple of years, right?
Just a while.
The pace of change right now is unlike anything I've ever experienced.
Sure, it's staggering.
Yeah.
And I have a kind of a personal model: learn until you can't.
Oh, I like that.
And there's 2 reasons you can't learn. You're either not here anymore, or your brain just isn't letting you do it anymore.
Yeah.
So continue to learn. And this is challenging everybody to figure out this AI thing. The other thing that's important to note is, with technology, we've all been part of technology changes through our careers.
Right.
Yeah.
They've all happened to us, right? We've driven them, we've consumed them.
Yeah.
The pace of that change is much slower. And a lot of times those changes had a distinct, here's how you use this new technology, whatever it might be. AI is use it any way you want to, any way you can come up with an idea how to use it, use it.
Yeah.
So
Whole nother ballgame.
it changes the dynamic of how we think about this change coming at us, and how we have to ask those people that are doing these jobs to help us figure this out, because IT people don't know all of the nuances of everybody's jobs. We
Right.
need them to help us.
Yeah.
That's also a little nerve-wracking for people in the industry too. They typically haven't had to engage at that level.
That's a good point.
And my personal experience with AI is that you log in one day, you work with it, and it just got better from 2 weeks ago. It just does a better job. From a software perspective, as a vendor, we are adopting a much more a different approach to bringing the younger generation into our software. So we're hiring a lot of people that have just graduated from college, but we're finding that they're kind of performing kind of at that mid-level with the AI augmentation. So everybody in our organization typically has AI Claude built into their workflow. So they can come in, they get the experience because AI is built into our processes, so they can leverage that AI to make sure that they're making good decisions. But obviously there's oversight with the senior people, so that human in the loop judgment, there's always going to be a senior solution architect or a software developer who's checking in and making sure that those check-ins are good quality stuff. But we've increased our engineering junior hiring practices about 10% because of this.
Yeah.
That's really interesting that it's really changed how well they can work and how quickly they're excelling.
Yes, yes. So almost instantaneously, they're delivering value to our company.
That's great.
Yeah, wow, that is terrific. So we touched a little bit about how AI is here now, but maybe give some concrete examples of how, surety professionals are using it right now to be better professionals. Brad?
Well, I talked about a couple of these things on the panel. So when we first started getting into AI, we wanted to find use cases that were valuable to the business, but we're also at a risk level that we said, okay, we can get into this without taking on too much risk. After all, that's what we deal with every day, is risk management, right? So one of the things that AI really helped us do is consume unstructured data into our world, get it injected into our system so we can deliver that information to our underwriters. So the first step was, let's get WIP data in.
Yeah.
And let's use AI capabilities that were evolving at the time to get that data extracted off of an email that an underwriter got. Instead of passing that on to an assistant type it in,
manually input.
right? We send it off to a system and it pulls the data out. And over the last couple of years, we're at about 100% data accuracy.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
That's amazing.
It is.
Yeah.
And it wasn't right out of the box, that level of accuracy. It started out lower,
Yeah.
but over time and using it and understanding why it didn't work in a particular case, we were able to change the prompting to get there.
That's awesome.
So this data intake, and it ties into all of this data sharing challenge that we have.
Yep.
There's some underpinnings that I really believe is going to help us as an industry share information across all of the entities. So we started there, and we're starting to do that with financial statements. Now, once you have that data in your system, now you're in a position to do other analysis, leveraging AI, to say, hey, give me a general perspective of this particular financial statement. That gets then passed on to an underwriter. They'll use that as input. They'll still own the decision. They still have full responsibility for the underwriting decision, but now they've got some different inputs that they would have probably arrived at previously,
Right.
but would have done it manually.
Yeah.
So if you can take what was a process to get to that point from a day down to an hour, that's pretty productive.
Yeah,
right there.
that's
Right?
really great.
And I'm not saying that's exactly the data that we saw as far as the time savings, but that's the kind of thing we're going to see.
Yeah.
So then we can respond to our customers more quickly with a better decision in a more timely manner and get out of their way so they can keep doing what they need to do.
Right.
That's really valuable in my mind.
Wow.
And of course, Brad, that's not using the consumer version of AI that's out there.
Correct.
I like that's a good
Right. You know,
Yeah.
much of what I'm saying, there's all kinds of governance and compliance things you have to have in place. You've got to get your governance set up so that
Yep.
you respect data privacy, all of those things. But once you have that and you have the contracts in place with these vendors, then you can start leveraging some of these kinds of things and not having your employees wonder, gosh, I wonder if I can do this with AI. We didn't want them constantly questioning themselves. So it starts with that and then goes out from there. So that's a good point, Greg.
Yeah. So you're telling us that, successful use of the technology is going to make your producer's life easier.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No doubt in my mind.
What a great message.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's our goal, is how do we make the producers able to interact with their customers so they can be more responsive and make better decisions and keep this construction industry flowing at a quicker pace.
High clip. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're seeing the same thing servicing your clients. Right?
Absolutely. Here at NASBP, I love coming because a lot of people will come by the booth and they said, hey, can you do this? And so we've always really focused on the underwriter experience.
Yeah.
And, they get a new package. There's a new client, a new bond submission that they want to go ahead and do the analysis on. So they're getting like 3 years of like company financials, resumes. They got this big package.
Yeah.
So we've been focusing on allowing that to be uploaded, all that information to be extracted as native into the system. But at an ASPP yesterday, a producer came by and said, I want to analyze contracts. Can you guys do that on our brokers and agent platforms? So this is great about being at NASPP, is just get those ideas of what people are expecting from AI that we haven't thought about.
Well, wait a second. Do the lawyers know that this is going to happen? What's going to happen to the lawyers?
They don't like to talk.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I know. Oh, well. I'm sure it doesn't replace legal review.
No.
But it does make it more efficient
No.
process.
No,
Awesome.
that human judgment is still necessary, and that human in the loop is going to be needed for a
Right.
long, long time.
I mean, we're
Right.
talking about human in the loop, and I think that's important because the question I always hear when AI comes up is, how do I make sure AI doesn't replace me as an underwriter, as a producer? What's your message when that question comes up?
Well, that question did come up, actually. From somebody,
Yes,
a
it did.
producer.
The question I always hear.
Yeah, and my response was that it leaves opportunity to take that employee and give them more value-added work that's more meaningful to them, more valuable to the company or the agency. And nobody wants to do data entry.
Right.
None of us do.
Yeah.
So, sure, if AI can do that for me, that gives me more time to do, more analysis and thinking or marketing or what have you. So, not to say that there won't be cases where jobs are eliminated and, head count for cost savings, but hopefully our industry will more often than not make those people that have been doing the manual work give them more value-added jobs that are more meaningful.
Yeah.
That sounds like AI needs a good PR firm, like AI getting rid of the mundane. Something like that.
You know, it's interesting as we rolled out AI at merchants, one of the questions people had was, well, where do I start? And I would ask two questions. One was, what do you hate doing in your job every day?
Yep.
And what do you love doing in your job every day? What if you could figure out a way to do less of what you hate and more of what you love?
There you go.
Yeah.
It's your responsibility to figure out how AI can help you get there. But that's where your mind needs to be. How do you automate out through AI the stuff that you just don't enjoy doing? And a lot of times it's manual data entry tasks that they know how to do and they can do it, but they prefer not to.
Yeah.
In favor of going out and having relationships and building relationships and making those human judgments that only we humans are able to do.
Yeah.
Right?
I think Chris's response on the panel was pretty interesting. Let's say you have two organizations, they're both using AI. One finds efficiency, decreases its staff by 50%, the other one doesn't. So look at the serviceability of your relationships in the marketplace. I think that other one is going to perform a lot better. So I think that was a good example.
That's a great point. Yeah. So you definitely shouldn't run the other direction from AI.
Absolutely
not the right answer.
No.
In fact, lean into
Lean into it. There's opportunity here. Focus on the opportunity. Yes, there are risks. Yes, there are things that we have to figure out.
Right.
But the AI companies know this too, and they're trying to solve those problems along with us as well.
But who knows managing risk better than the surety industry?
Exactly.
Right?
We know how to do this. We know how to do
We're made
this.
for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Portends an exciting future.
In my view, absolutely yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Would you guys be willing to hazard any ideas if you had a crystal ball where we're going to be in 5 to 10 years with AI?
5 to 10 years is like infinity.
I know, in this world with the speed it's moving.
Yeah, I have a hard time figuring out what the next 6 months looks like.
Yeah, 5 to 10 months.
Yeah.
How about a year? How about a year?
I'm sure we can imagine everything it might be, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we talked about a couple of examples. You know, what if you could take your phone, you're going down the road, and producer just talked to a contractor and they need a bond right now.
Yeah.
What if you could say, hey, I need a bond for this kind of work in this city for a 3-year term.
Yeah.
Purchase it, put your phone down, and an AI agent goes off and does it and delivers to that producer and that contractor the bond they need right now.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Hopefully digital bond.
Yes, it would be digital, but those are the capabilities that I see coming into our world in the 3 to 5 year time frame.
Wow.
Not month. No.
3 to 5 years.
3 to 5 years.
Wow. What about you, Jason?
I mean, I guess from an underwriting perspective, let's say the construction companies are starting to use robots.
Yeah.
So how do
they
you?
already are. Aren't they?
Okay. Yeah. So how do you analyze that at risk? Because I think you're just going to see more kind of autonomous type of things coming out, so they could change how the business is looked at.
And speaking of robots, there are data sources that those robots will create that we're not using today that we may use down the road. Again, we're going to innovate in ways that we can't even imagine.
We can't predict,
But robots will produce data.
Yeah.
And how do we use that? How do the construction companies use it? How do we use it to manage risk?
That's great.
And there'd be no way to manage that much data without something like that.
It'd be pretty tough.
Yeah.
Our ability to create data as a society way surpasses our ability to consume it and use it.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, you hear about in the construction world, they're embedding sensors in roadways. And then, at some point in the future, they may be self-sealing, roadways because they have the data inputs and the material gains, to make it like that. So quite an exciting future.
Greg, any predictions from you?
I think that if you look back even 10 years, and ours is a slow-moving industry, and we think what's happened now, we wouldn't have even imagined.
That's so true.
And so, up to the point everybody's making, it's just going to be a different game. I mean, again, value. We talked about it. I even asked the panel: is there going to be value to the surety bond? Because obligees may think, well, we can figure this out and mitigate the risks through AI, and well, no, because there's so much other value that our product provides. It's just necessary for us to continue to promote that and explain it to people. So, that's what I would say in terms of the future. How we do work, how we consume the data, that will change. The value of our product hopefully will still be there. We need to prove it though every day.
Right.
Well, I just want to thank all you guys for being on with us, having this
terrific conversation.
It was great. Hopefully we can get you back and 3 to 5 years and we can see if these predictions are
3 to 5. I am not going to commit.
3 to 5.
Yeah.
I just try and throw it in there.
But if there's ever a conversation around AI and you want to bring folks back together, I certainly offer that because it's a fascinating topic.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much
Yeah.
for just giving us a little taste today.
You bet. It's our pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
for having us.
You've been listening to Let's Get Surety, brought to you by the National Association of Surety Bond Producers. For more information about the NASBP and its members, visit nasbp.org.
Before we go, we'd like to thank Applied Surety Underwriters again for their generous support in sponsoring this episode of Let's Get Surety. As part of the United Risk Organization, Applied Surety Underwriters helps clients and brokers find the right bond program for every project through a personalized, consultative approach. To learn more, visit appliedsurety.com.